Hey, welcome in. Well, here's the headline. White fragility author says comedy is an excuse to get to be racist. Surprise, surprise. The person who thinks that everything, literally everything, is racist thinks that comedy is also racist. Now, this person is Robin DiAngelo, the woman who sold 1 million copies of her book, White Fragility, and became a millionaire off of it, and who charges exorbitant sums to lie to people about how racist they all are. Because it turns out that racism is business, and business is good. Oh, sorry, I mean anti-racism. Sorry. It's so confusing when basically it's the same thing. So anyway, this race hustler, because that's what she is, DiAngelo says it's okay to punch up by mocking white people, but not people of color. And that's all that comedy ever is too. It's just meanness. It's just meanly mocking people. You know, it's never like, I don't know, like a pressure valve for society or a way of dealing with complex societal issues. Or of, like questioning authority or, noticing that the emperor has no clothes. It's nothing like that. Not in the world of Robin DiAngelo, because people who are just obvious hucksters don't like being made fun of because it's so easy to make fun of them. It's why authoritarians don't like to be mocked, because it's effective. Anyway, let's take a look. New York Times best-selling author Robin DiAngelo delivered a blow to the comedy world in a video that resurfaced over the weekend, declaring that it's okay to punch up by mocking white people, but that it's racist to mock people of color. Well, she's a white person, so I guess I can punch up and make fun of her. What can I say about her? I don't know. Maybe she looks like Karl Marx had a baby with Leni Riefenstahl. I don't know. And Leni Riefenstahl, by the way, was the filmmaker in the 30s in Germany who made all those propaganda films for the Nazis, like Triumph of the Will. So I didn't pick her by accident. So let's see, what did she say? During an April conversation with YouTuber Joseph Jaffe, which was recirculated by the Wisconsin-based nonprofit Myth Informed on Saturday, DiAngelo described her definition of racism and her issues with comedy. She said, quote, "Comedy is, I think, an excuse to get to be racist, right?" That's what she thinks. I've never seen comedy as that myself. Maybe I'm not a racist like Robin DiAngelo. That might be it. Let's see. I think TV shows like Family Guy and South Park, and maybe a little bit The Simpsons, allowed white people to be racist self-consciously, like, I know I'm being racist, and therefore it doesn't count, and it's okay. No, that was not happening. These cultists, they always make these kinds of statements that aren't really falsifiable. Just saying, it allowed white people to be racist self-consciously. Well, no, that's not what we were doing. Well, yes, you were. And no, we weren't. Well, prove that you weren't. They just throw these things out. It doesn't mean anything. It's just her opinion. And by the way, talking about not funny, do you remember that awful thing where she was chastising Jimmy Fallon? Because I think it was because he did an impersonation of Chris Rock like 20 years ago. And then even though Chris Rock didn't care, he still had to grovel publicly. I mean, you could literally see his soul leave his body. She was chastising him and explaining to him about how racist he was. It was pathetic. Certainly not funny. And then just think of the irony of the fact that it's this old white woman that's chastising him for being racist. If anybody should have been chastising him, it should have been, I would have liked to have seen Flavor Flav. That would have been funny. But anyway, she thinks that comedy is just an excuse to be racist. I don't think it's benign to do it in a joking way, she continued. And there is a concept in comedy called punching up, not down. So if you want to punch up, there are very different power dynamics, and it doesn't hurt in the same way. It doesn't invoke a deep centuries-long history of oppression when you poke fun at, say, white people. But it's very, very different when you poke fun at people of color. What about, like, Idi Amin? Is that punching up or is that punching down? But seriously, what about, like, LeBron James? If some guy working at Burger King makes a joke about LeBron James, is that punching up or punching down? I mean, we're talking about power dynamics here, right? Well, what gives you the most power? Money? Fame? Right? Again, none of the stuff that we ever hear from these people actually makes any sense. And it's almost never falsifiable. And even when it is, they just stop talking. They just refuse to deal with you. Anyway, DIANGELO said that white people who define racism as individual acts of conscious meanness or malice are misguided. No, they're not. If you are dehumanizing somebody on the basis of immutable characteristics, that is racism. That's what racism actually is. You can try and tell people that's not what it is, but we have our own inbuilt sense of justice and fairness, right? And that's not something that you can woke out of somebody. If you're treating somebody unfairly, they're going to notice. Anyway, I think the reason that they love saying this sort of thing so much is that when it gets to specifics, they have a problem, right? Like name the law, for instance. Name a specific law. They have a problem with that. So it has to be very generalized, very nebulous. It just has to be kind of in the atmosphere. It has to be in the ether. It can't be anything specific. Quote, we have to move well beyond that and understand it as a system. Here we go. The system. What is the system exactly? Nobody really seems to know. Again, it's just this thing that's kind of in the air. Quote, it is the foundation of both of our cultural contexts. Racist ideology, you mean like yours, Robin DIANGELO, practices, policies are circulating across the culture, and we all absorb them. Yes, we absorb them from the atmosphere, from the ether. You don't even realize what's happening to you, and if you don't catch it in time, you might judge somebody based on the content of their character. And, Robin DIANGELO's got books to sell. She's got books to sell. She needs division. She needs strife. She can't have people getting along and respecting each other. Absolutely not. Anyway, right now she's promoting her new book, Nice Racism. So don't forget that being nice is also racist. How progressive white people perpetuate racial harm. In which she argues that subtle racism is more insidious than overt racism. So the subtle racism that maybe it doesn't even exist, that's worse than the actual real kind that you can say, yeah, that's definitely it. No, you have to worry about the subtle kind that you don't even really notice it. Is it even there? Well, Robin DIANGELO's here to tell you that it is, and you should buy her book. Well, no, Robin DIANGELO, I'm not going to buy your book. I'm not going to give you a penny. And I'm not going to stop making jokes either. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Please subscribe, like, and share. That really helps me out. If you just like to listen, there's the podcast, Radio Baloney. It's on pretty much every platform. If you look for it, you will find it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.